Alright, so here's what I think, right? Potentially 80s and drop. Yeah, there is a premium fair value gap here, for sure. So here's the thing, right? On BTC, we have an inside candle, right? Where this weekly candle failed to engage either side of the range, which, as we know, whenever we get this, we can usually anticipate some really, really strong movement. Let's kind of look at this one as an example, right? We have a weekly inside candle right here, right? And it's obviously moving up, okay, after taking out some lows. A lot of people were bullish. They still thought, well, we're still going for all-time highs. We still have to hit 140K. Everyone was married to that, right? Um, so after we got this inside candle, then we finally get a manipulation above that range high, right? Of this, the candle that encapsulated this one. After that happened, right, it kick-started a really, really, really strong move, right? Same thing here. Really, really big inside candle or a really big weekly range. Yep, unfortunately 140K. I don't know, guys. Not for a good while at least. But yeah, we have another huge inside candle, right? Encapsulating 7 weeks of consolidation essentially, which we know that typically other people are not really going to be looking at this as consolidation, which, I mean, if you really want to trade the manipulation into this fair value gap, of course you can. Um, but I mean, you guys know how I feel about that too. I'm not really one for, I like trading the expansions, not the manipulations, right? Here's another example of what typically results of inside candles. Here's a bullish version, right? Where we have an inside candle and then we close above, right? And then we continue higher, we get a nice big move. So all that to say, we just had an inside candle, so we know that a pretty big move is coming, whether it's up or down. Um, we can talk about it for sure. Right now, right, the week just started, so our expectations and our ability to anticipate is lower, right? We have less information going into this week, right? Um, Being that it is Monday, let's go ahead and map out weekly open. So typically, the longer or the further into a week that we go, the more information that we get, the better anticipation that we can have, right? So, like I said, it being Monday and there not really being any news can make trading today more difficult than, say, if I traded on maybe Wednesday or Thursday, right? If we look at the daily candle today on NQ, ICT would classify today as a Z day, which Z day really just means it's a day that you don't really want to be getting engaged. It's a very confusing day to trade. Um, and even though this might look directionally good, uh, it should be difficult to trade, right? There's a lot of built up lows here. We take out a high, right? We looked like we were going for this ERL. Um, After we took this high, presumably we would take out these lows. So a little bit difficult, right? So let's fix our weekly open. So just to kind of take you guys through the process that I'm usually going through, right? So today's Monday. Let's go ahead and put a vertical line separate the day, right? So far, does this, just from today, does this look like a directional move, a consolidation? What do you guys think? What would you guys call this? Yeah, right? Consolidation, just back and forth movement, which is why I don't like to trade Monday, right? Because we treat Monday much like it's like Asia range. And it's not to say that Asia range can't pull a move. It can, it does. There are a lot of times that it does, but most of the time it does not. Most of the time it is consolidation, and that's what we have here. And as you can see, right, we have a very clearly defined range, um, in that we have these low resistance liquidity on the lows, and we have some low resistance liquidity on the highs, right? So typically, what I'm waiting for, does anyone want to take a guess? In order for me to trade, what needs to happen? Okay, exactly. I need to see some form of manipulation either above range highs or range lows, because then it makes it significantly easier. If you're bullish and you see a move below the lows, you see this inverse, you get a nice V-shaped reversal, then it's going to be a lot easier to have this target liquidity, right? Knowing where price is going, knowing that price moves from liquidity to liquidity is very helpful. Now, when I'm framing the week, right? Let's do the boring stuff first. This the thing that we've been doing so much. We bring up the seasonal tendency chart. If we look at the seasonal tendency chart, we're not supposed to be bullish yet. And just generally speaking, for the month of March, we're supposed to be leaning a little bit more bearish. It doesn't automatically mean, oh, yes, we have to be bearish all of March, but it does give us just kind of like an underlying bias, right? Yes, there you go, Sneak. Perma bears. If we could, we would have this chart just pointing straight down, but unfortunately for Sneak and all the other perma bears, it's not. So, um, okay, so now we're going to be talking about anticipating. Let me bring up the economic calendar real quick. Okay. So when we talk about anticipation, okay, one of the easiest things to do, that will be extremely helpful for us is if we can condense the amount of things that can happen. If we can consolidate the amount of scenarios that are likely to take place and start thinking about which ones make the most sense based upon the economic calendar, right? So, as you can see, any of the times that we have CPI, right? CPI is always going to be on Tuesday. We know that if Monday was accumulating and CPI maybe manipulates the lows and we start moving higher, that we know that Wednesday and Thursday are going to likely be um, expansion for us, right? And if we look at the economic calendar, we can see that we have PPI and we have FOMC on Wednesday, right? Now, just as a little precursor and a little tip for you guys in terms of protocol for when you're trading and trying to anticipate, remember that the day before high impact news has a very high probability to be choppy. Okay, so for example, Tuesday most likely is not going to have the most pristine price action, right? It's not going to be the highest probability. Once again, it's not to say that it can't, um, but it's just typically that's usually the way it works. If you guys go and back test, you guys will see um, your win rate will probably not be as good the days before or the day before high impact news, right? So seeing that we have high impact news on Wednesday, right? Then we start looking at the different weekly profiles and we start to think, okay, well, what's the ideal scenario here? We already know that Monday is consolidated. We don't know what Tuesday will do, but considering the fact that we have FOMC and PPI on Wednesday, we start looking through the different types of profiles that we have, right? And obviously here it talks about avoiding participating on Monday when we don't have any high impact news. This is why I kind of shared this PDF with you guys last time. It's very helpful, right? We can see Monday, no news, consolidation, right? So we start looking through um the different days, or not the different days, the different kinds of profiles that we have, right? Every single week is going to fall under one of these sort of scenarios where maybe we have a bullish expansion week. Let's see, can I zoom out a little bit? Right? And this would be more like when we have CPI, right? CPI is on Tuesday, so we get Monday accumulating CPI on Tuesday, right? And then we hit a key level, and then we start distributing out Wednesday, Thursday, right? Typically form the bulk of this move up, right? So seeing that we have high impact news on a Wednesday, right? The first thing that starts to come to my mind is let's see, is it on here? Should be on here. Okay, here we go. Is the midweek reversal, which we will find here somewhere. There's Thursday reversal, which is also a possibility, right? If Wednesday ends up consolidating, then Thursday is going to be likely it's going to be a Thursday kind of reversal. But typically, in my experience, when we have FOMC, when we have PPI and it's Wednesday, right? I'm mostly thinking a midweek reversal, okay? So Wednesday being that volatility driver that finally injects volatility and gets us into different key levels, which we kind of already are inside of a key level right now, so we don't really need help there. But it could give us maybe a move into, say, the, um, for example, maybe on ETH, maybe Wednesday gives us a move into a premium gap as opposed to just a um, one of these ones in discount, right? Maybe Wednesday pushes us up all the way into here. Maybe Bitcoin fails to reach premium. There's some SMT there, and then finally we can get some resolution of this kind of weekly range that we've kind of been experiencing, right? Um, so this is what I mean by us pairing economic calendar with weekly profile, with daily profile, which I know we haven't really talked too much about daily profile, but doing this kind of thing will significantly help you not only narrow down the amount of scenarios that can happen, but you'll start to become very familiar with it. So for me, I don't even need to look at this PDF anymore. I don't even need to think about it. If I see Monday and Tuesday consolidate, I see that FOMC is on Wednesday like it always is. I'm already thinking about the midweek, um, that midweek reversal is going to be a very high probability, right? So there's two variations there. You can see one of them. The main difference between these variations is that the wick size, right, is going to be different. Sometimes Monday, Tuesday, they're actually moving up. And people get very confused that sometimes movement like this, like an upward channel, can actually be accumulation, right? And accumulation, look at the low resistance liquidity that's being built up or is aka accumulating, right? Wednesday has that manipulation, big move higher, change in state of delivery, right? Retest of the bearish order block, and then we can see all the way until Friday we displace into our draw on liquidity here, which for us, our draw on liquidity presumably would be that weekly ERL, right? Let's take this off real quick. So our drawn liquidity, we could say, is going to be this devil's mark. We could say that it's going to be this ERL. But as you can see, so far Monday, right? Even though it's an up close candle, kind of consolidating. So Tuesday might do the same thing and move up a little bit more. But ultimately, our draws on liquidity are lower. And Monday and Tuesday could be seen as accumulation slash manipulation, right? But ultimately, we're expecting one of these two scenarios. Okay, so being able to see it here and being able to kind of anticipate this before it happens. Now, it may not happen. Maybe Wednesday also consolidates, right? The last CPI we had, I believe, was very, very lethargic price action. So we can definitely get something similar where it's a non-event. Um, and then maybe we get that Thursday reversal. But see, this is why I say also to be fluid and to not say, FOMC on Wednesday, automatic midweek reversal. No, there are sometimes where FOMC also consolidates, and then we get that Thursday week reversal. Yeah, for sure. I'll send it in the chat here now. This is by AM Trades. Really, really good trader. One of my favorites because he likes to keep things very simple. Um, but yeah. So, and then there's a little bit more schematics in here. So we would be kind of expecting something like this, right? Where Wednesday takes out Tuesday, high or low, presumably the high, right? And then Thursday, we're expecting an open, high, low, close. Friday, we're expecting open, high, low, close. And that makes it significantly even better to trade, right? Nah, it's not a trainer. You guys could also look up AM Trades weekly, yeah, weekly profile guide. That would honestly be so funny. And then I just leave the ATS Discord, and then you guys never hear from me ever again. Thanks, come again, kind regards. But yeah. So think about this, and just think about that. This is part of the framework that we use. This is how we start to set things up. It's part of the reason why there's so many times that you guys will hear me say, I'm not trading. I'm not doing anything right now. I don't need to do anything right now. I'm completely fine waiting. And if I don't want to wait, then okay, fine. I'll go look at maybe Euro, which Euro was very, very clean. And I think on the last one of the last streams I actually said um, that I would be waiting to see, right? And lo and behold, and honestly, I should have had a better call out, and I'll explain why in a second. But we hit that daily bearish fair value gap, right? I was a little bit, the reason I said I wanted to wait is because this is a good looking reversal candle, right? Um, but we moved up into that key level. We got our C2 closure. Look at C3, look at C4, and look at C5, all the way until we hit this ERL. IRL to ERL, easy cash money, right? Now, the reason I said I should have been more confident in the call out is because we already knew with dollar that we were going higher, right? We saw these equal highs, and like I told you guys, your eyes need to snap to this. Anytime you see highs that are being built up like this, that are relatively equal or are equal, they're going to get attacked every single time, right? And you can see right there, I think to the tick, 10, 100, 540, like literally to the tick. That's an equal high right there. So the fact that that's actually did not even take out the high, but it's still an equal high, I would not be surprised. Whoops, mic disconnected. I would not be surprised if Wednesday helps us manipulate on dollar lower into here, right? We had market structure break. These are high probability uh, IRL signatures, right? I would not be surprised if we manipulate lower into here, everything starts moving higher. Everybody's like, yay, we're saved. Trump was right. We actually don't need oil. We don't need gas for our cars that we use to drive to work. Um, and then we get their result after FOMC, and then dollar starts pushing higher into these equal highs, and then NQ, BTC, Euro continue to fall lower. So part of the reason why I said we should have been confident on that Euro trade, which I did not take, so sad. Um, the reason we should have been confident is because there was equal highs here, and it's very clear, right? From like a market maker model perspective, we can have an original consolidation there, right? We take out these lows, smart money reversal, buy side of the curve, high time frame inversion, high time frame CISD, and just more and more reasons that price should continue to go higher, attacking what? Relative equal highs and that devil mark right there, right? So remember, dollar goes higher, currency pairs go lower, risk on assets go lower. So that was kind of like a little bit of a miss from me. I mean, kind of called it, half called it, but not really, not in my book. So that being said, keep your guys' eye on dollar. I promise you, if you guys start looking at dollar, even though it's boring and it's a boomer ticker to look at, if you get in sync with dollar, whatever happens on risk on assets, you will not be surprised, right? This move lower, right? We took out ERL. Where should we go? IRL. Even the move up should maybe have not been surprising, even though it was for me a little bit. Um, just because I don't know, that's a lot of days in a row to be moving up, and it makes me all the more skeptical, right? Anytime that kind of thing happens on Bitcoin, I'm just like, yeah, I don't know about that. This looks like a trap to me. So remember, we're early right now, and we're barely taking out these highs of the inside candle, and we're inside of a key level. So keep all of those things in mind and be fluid. Wait for Wednesday um, to resolve, and then you'll have your direction, right? We're in the midpoint of this gap. Could we push higher into this one? Yes, of course. Um, we have to be open to all possibilities, right? That is a possibility. But I would be more of the opinion that this consequent encroachment of this weekly fair value gap is what's going to cap price, and any move above the weekly open. If I'm anticipating a bearish candle, right? Let's pretend that this is a red or something, right? Then I know that even when I'm bearish, price has to move higher before it goes lower. So we could say this is Monday, this is Tuesday, here's Wednesday FOMC, Thursday, and Friday, right? A plus drawing skills. So that's what I'm kind of thinking, and I know it's hard. I know it's hard to wait. I know it's hard not to take longs. I know it's hard not to take shorts. But sitting on your hands is the most underrated skill for any trader to have. You're playing with money, and you can be potentially playing with a lot of it. And it's the easiest thing in the world to want to rush into these things. So you have to do your best to, you know, kind of be the person that is able to hold yourself back and be like, I really want to trade right now, but I remember what it was like to lose that funded, or I remember what it was like to blow that account, and so on and so on. So we still have these devil marks down here. ETH could absolutely move all the way up into this premium one and then go lower. Um, we'll just have to see what happens, which even if it does do that, Um, that's SMT. That's SMT gap fill. If right now we're barely on this first fair value gap and ETH is already booking it to the second one, if ETH can make it into the second one, then we'll have SMT fill, right? And then we can start looking for PSP and other reasons to um, trade and go for price to go lower, right? C2 closures, etc., etc. Right? Bull trap definitely goes burr. What would I call today's um like in terms of what? Like profile or just candle formation? That's a good question. I would probably say it's a more of a retracement candle because we're moving into here, right? Um, so I mean, what, there's 20 minutes left. So I guess you could say, you know, you could call it technically an expansion candle because, we took out previous daily low, we expanded higher, but I wouldn't say that all expansion candles are created equal. Consolidation candle would be more like these, right? Which, to be honest, maybe we can measure. See, that's 300 points. Yeah, it's 500 points. 500 point candle. I mean, if you traded, is there some SMT? Yeah, look at SMT with Asia and London lows. Like, I mean, if you took a trade there and you got in on that change in state of delivery, you could have made money for sure, right? Like, it's not to say that you couldn't have traded it, but you know. But yeah, I would have to call it a not consolidation. Technically an expansion candle, right? Because we had accumulation, manipulation, distribution. But remember, right? Just because Monday expands doesn't mean you should necessarily trade it. Not all expansion candles should you trade, right? So we just hit that key level on the daily. We're starting to get a change in state of delivery on the hourly. Got some built up lows here. So I got some built up highs though. Right, so it's just good to kind of chill for a minute. And also check this out, right? Relative equal lows. And I mean, we've got some relative equal highs. So ideally, right, I would like to see maybe Wednesday we would push more into here. And then Thursday, Friday, we can start to take out these lows. And if we start to form a reversal signature here, I mean, my eyes are locking onto these relative equal highs up here. I don't know if you believe in moon phases, but we have a new moon on the 18th Wednesday. Usually, new moon prices go lower. The opposite applies for full moon. Um, I mean, I'm not sure how I feel about it. I believe in numerology. I believe in that the planets do have an effect on everything. I just don't know. I mean, show me some statistics where the moon phases have like a 60% accuracy or something, and I'm not gonna deny the statistics, right? But I probably maybe wouldn't use it in my analysis unless it was just very accurate. 80%? Okay, shit, maybe. Let's see. This better not be malware. Oh, it's malware. I'm cooked. Hmm. Okay, okay. See, 682. I mean, I would like to know a little bit more of the like what's the parameters, like how much percent can it go down against the moon phase? You just get stopped out at 5% or what? That's pretty interesting though. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I believe in numerology and stuff like that, and even astrology too, right? It was it JP Morgan that said that something about billionaires using astrology, something like that. If you guys are familiar with the quote. I mean, it does sound a little crazy, but I mean, stats don't lie, right? The stats say so, then okay. Yeah, bro. Um, you gotta listen to her more often, then maybe she's actually right about those arguments. Who knows? Um, what was it that Kick-Ass wanted to look at? Wanted to look at something. Sec and Tau. Yeah, let's look at them. Yeah, man, these privacy coins, I never know, bro. They're so, I mean, Jesus, like, what's going on here? Actually, I had seen, I saw the notification on my phone the other day, and I was even actually thinking of you, Kick-Ass, that it was something about like that Zcash received like $150 million grant or something like that to do something. I don't know. Let's see, maybe I still have it on my phone. Probably not. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't know, but they received some sort of like very good grant or whatever, so maybe that has something to do with it. But yeah, I mean, like that's crazy work right there, which we kind of talked about, right? That probably a move above this high, and then I'd be looking for a reversal signature, which there is really none. So you shouldn't have gotten stopped out. There's all these relative equal highs up here. Um, yeah, I don't know. Let's see if it can get past this weekly order block though. If it can do that, then I'll be very surprised. See that midpoint. Let's see if it could get through there. I don't know. Maybe it might do it. But to be honest, ERL, relative equal lows. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking AMD here. Maybe, maybe. Let's see. Yeah, we'll look at gold too. Let's look at Tau. Holy moly. Okay. Alright, well, Tau just clearly does not give a fuck about what's going on right now. Did we even take out this low? Don't tell me we left equal lows here, bro. 140, 142, 143. Oh, those relative equal lows. I'm not gonna lie, those are looking juicy. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I know that Tao's like, I mean, especially last cycle, everybody was crazy about it. Um, I forgot what it does, but I don't know. People were talking about it's the Bitcoin killer. I don't know if that's true or not, but definitely that's some monster price action right there. I don't know. Is there some news? Ah, okay. They announced some releases. Okay. Yeah, maybe it's at a market cap that kind of news can still affect it. But to be honest, all the altcoins had a pretty nice jump. I mean, BTC is 7 days straight just moving up. Like, it's pretty wild. Um, yeah, like Hype too, bro. Hype looks so strong. Hype's not that far from all-time highs, to be honest. Um, which, I mean, premium and discount wise, on a higher time frame, I mean, it's looking good. It's coming into this weekly order block. Let's see. Yeah, bro, I saw Doge and Shib, all those things were popping up on my phone. I was like, man, I don't even want to look at these charts because I'm not a part of them. Okay, well, Doge is a lot less, not as nice, but still, that's a good move. I think Shib too. Shib had a nice move. Yeah, not bad. Not gonna be my choice to trade, but sure, why not? Pengu. I only like Pengu because they gave me a nice little airdrop. Oh, okay, okay. I mean, I still would not touch this thing with a fucking 90-foot pole, to be honest with you. But yeah, those are some good moves. Gold. Now see gold. Now I'm interested. I'm liking gold. Um, All right, so two options here. So, like I said, it's still the beginning of the week, so you have to be very careful with what you're doing here. Um, but I won't lie, I already took a long, and I'm pretty much already out of it. But um, yeah, as soon as we got, was it on the 5 minute? Yeah, off of this 5 minute inverse during New York. But yeah, and I got out too because and it wasn't a very like I didn't go heavy. I was trading micro gold to be fair. But yeah, anytime we do hit a key level, I do expect that we get some measure of a move. So here's what I would recommend, right? So first of all, the thing that we were talking about pretty much is happening, right? Where we kind of said, here's our accumulation. Either we're going to hit the highs first or we're going to hit the lows first. If we hit the highs first, that's going to set us up for double purge. Um, if you guys are unfamiliar with that concept and you want to learn about it, there's a trader that goes by the name of MMXM, aka market maker model, uh, trader, and he's kind of the one that popularized this. Or you could study ICT, the 2022 mentorship, but that's really long and dense. Um, but it's a really nice thing to have in your tool set. So pretty much the idea is that when we're bullish, we can expect that we take out highs, then we take out lows, then the true move ensues, right? So that's kind of what we were talking about, right? We said, hey, we hit the highs, so let's expect now that we're going to move down to that volume imbalance on the weekly, which now we have hit, right? Um, Wednesday will inject volatility for gold too. I think we'll have to see, but right, what I would recommend to you guys is okay, we have our weekly IRL, we have our weekly ERL, there's our framework. Now, who can tell me what I'm waiting what I would be waiting for in terms of like high probability trades? What am I looking for down here? I just want to see it. Okay. But what about on the weekly? Hey, my guy, C2 closure, right? If I get a C2 closure back inside this C1, right, I'm already going to be like, okay, now C3 is going to be much easier to trade, right? So, not the sexy answer, but trading next week is probably going to be the highest probability. You can still trade this week, right? But just be open to the possibility that we may push lower on Wednesday into this midpoint, or just a little bit lower in general. I still think that this week will close above the weekly volume imbalance. Um, but you could trade after Wednesday and start trading it as a C2. We still have a small wick, right? C2 we only want to trade when it has a small wick. So it's still falling under that criteria, so we can still trade it for sure. But highest probability, easiest trade is going to be wait for this candle 2 to close back inside a candle 1. Here's a minimum target. Can also cut this in half and get another low hanging fruit target, right? If we close back inside this range, we can aim for here and here, right? We'll take this off. It's getting a little confusing. Look at silver. Yeah, silver, much of the same thing except the key level is a little bit different. It's not a volume imbalance. It's going to be this weekly low. Um, right? So we took out that weekly low. We have this candle 1, right? And remember, we expect C1, C2, C3s to form at key levels. A weekly ERL is a key level, right? So there's that devil mark too that we filled, right? Just for study. But yeah, silver looks good too, although I might be a little bit more, I guess depending on how the week closes. on which candle close looks better will tell me which one I would rather long. But right now, silver does look a little bit stronger. I don't know. I just don't like silver that much, to be honest. But if it closes stronger, I will probably take trades on there as opposed to gold. Yeah, yeah, it's a good place to start if you want to learn ICT. That's where a lot of people started. Um, Here on oil, I have a weekly volume imbalance that we're moving into. Okay, we can't really look for it. I mean, if unless we move all the way down here, which I doubt. I'm sure all of us have our fingers crossed, hoping oil goes all the way down there so we could fucking get some normal regular gas prices, but probably very unlikely. So we hit that key level. If we can get a 4 hour inversion, I think we probably start moving back up, to be honest. Maybe take out this ERL. Because just from like a naked eyes point of view, right? There's our sell side of the curve, there's our buy side. If we jump back on the weekly, or was it the daily? Yeah, if we jump on the daily, right, we can see we did tap this daily IRL, daily ERL, right? That's kind of what kick-started this. Yeah, T-Trades is very good too. A little bit more simplified, a little bit easier to chew on, for sure. I like MMX